Yeah, we had solved only the numerical problems, right? So today we will continue with the statement problems. These are also very easy problems where you just have to convert the statements into the proportion that we have learned, and then we shall solve them. Okay. Yeah. So the first question, if a man earns rupees 1500 per week, how many weeks must he work? Sorry, that is he work to earn rupees 9000. So if one man is working for 1 week, he is getting 1500. So for how many weeks should he work to get 9000? Okay, you may directly multiply in the calculator and get the answer, but then we are supposed to use proportions here and only solve it. Okay, so whenever there is comparison between two things that is given, that is usually the proportion which we are supposed to be using it. Okay, in this problem, if you observe the number of weeks, if the number of weeks increases, the earnings or the wages also is increasing, right? So the wages are increasing as the number of weeks are increasing. Okay, if weeks decreases, the wages will also decrease. If wages increases, how will the wages increase? Firstly, we'll write weeks this side. So if the weeks increases, the wages will also increase. If the weeks of work decreases, the wages will also decrease. So this is a case of direct proportion. Now in direct proportion, if one value increases, the other one will also increase, and if one decreases, the other will also decrease. Okay, so that is the idea behind this. So here we will be using direct proportion and we will be solving this problem. So first, let us define it, saying as it's a direct proportion problem. Okay, so excuse me, the problem is a case of direct proportion since it contains relationship between earnings to time worked, or earnings to number of weeks worked. Okay, so as number of weeks increases, earnings also increases. Now, why are we giving this explanation? So that the examiner understands that you have learned proportion and you are able to differentiate between the types of proportion. Okay, it's good if you give the explanation like this and solve it. Okay, so the number of weeks, if as the number of weeks will increase, the earnings will also increase. Okay, now what is important for us to add here is, now let's start with the problem. Let the weeks to be worked to earn rupees 9000 bx. See, in the question, for 1 week if they work, they'll get 1500, and they've asked for how many weeks they should work. So as per our format of, even while solving equations, we have always considered one value to be x, and then we have solved for x, right? So here the number of weeks that the person has to work to earn 9,000, let that be X. Now, let us write down the earning ratio. Now, earning ratio is nothing but if they are able to get for one, if they work for 1 week, how much will they will get? They'll get 1,500 rupees. And if they work for X number of weeks, they will be able to get 9,000 rupees. So this is our earning ratio. Only wages has been considered here. So here, firstly, if they work for 1 week, we are paying them 1,500. And if they are working for X number of weeks, we are paying them 9,000 rupees. So this is only regarding to the wages. Now let us also write it regarding to the time. Weeks also will be part of time, right? So for 1 week, we are paying them 1,500 is to, we don't know for how many weeks, so X weeks also we are going to pay them 9,000. So this can be written as 1 is to X, right? Now let us put this into the proportion. Okay. Now put it in direct proportion. Direct proportion means if earnings ratio increases, time ratio will also increase. So if earnings ratio increases, what is earning ratio? 1,500 is to 9,000 is equal to 1 is to X. Okay. Now you know how to find out the X value. Now before finding out the X value, did you all understand till here? The Though it is easy to solve only using calculator, but when it comes to proportion, you're supposed to give all this explanation. Did you all understand till here? Any doubts? Okay. Now we have three numbers given and we are supposed to find out the fourth proportion or proportional. So let us do the working as how we did before. Product of extremes is equal to product of means. So using that, we will be using product of extremes is equal to product of means. So what do we get? We will be solving this as 1,500 into X is equal to 9,000 into 1. Yeah. So 1,500 X is equal to 9,000. X is equal to 9,000 by 1,500. So therefore X is equal to 6. So you have to write the conclusion also. Now once we understood X is equal to 6, it means that a person requires 6 weeks to earn 9,000 rupees. So write the conclusion. Very, very important to write the conclusion. Therefore, rupees 9,000 can be earned by working 6 weeks. Okay. Everybody understood? Any doubts in this problem? Okay. Now let us go to the next question. Next question again. If the cost of pens is 200, find the cost of 18 pen. Okay, sorry. If the cost of 8 pens, if the cost of 8 pens is rupees 200, find the cost of 18 pens. Can you try this problem? Now before that, Say me, what is the proportion? Which proportion is this in? Cost of 8 pence is 200. They're asking us the cost of 18 pence. Now, will the cost of 18 pen be more than 200 or less than 200? 8 to 18, there is an increase. It will be more. Okay, it's a direct proportion. Very good. So it is a direct proportion problem where if the number of pens increases, the cost of the pens also will increase. Okay, good. Now give the explanation and solve the problem. So what is the explanation that you have to give? Say them that since the number, let me help you with this. Since, simple explanation is also fine. Yeah, x is equal to 450 is correct. Since number of pens purchased increases, the total cost also increases, because if the number of pens increase, the cost of the total cost of the pens also will increase. Okay, so the total cost, sorry, the total cost also increases, we have written. Then so it is a direct proportion. It is a direct proportion. Now define the, now define what is the cost that is required. So let the cost of 18 pence be x. Okay, then pence ratio is equal to, so there are 8 pence and later we are planning to buy 18 pence, correct? Then cost ratio for that. What is the cost ratio? So if there is a, if we are paying 200 rupees first, then we are supposed to pay x rupees later. For 18, we don't know how much we have to do. Very good. 18, 8 is to 18 is equal to 200 is to x. Okay. Then now we have got the complete ratio. Let us put this into proportion. Now when you're putting this into proportion, now put into proportion. So that is nothing but 8 is to 18 is equal to 200 is to x. Okay, 8 is to 18 is equal to 200 is to x. So product of extremes is equal to product of means. So 8 into x is equal to 18 into 200. So 8x is equal to, how much do you get? 18 into 200 is 3600, is it? Okay. So x is equal to 3600 by 8. So therefore x is equal to 450. So what should be the conclusion? Very good. Everybody has got the answer. What should be the conclusion? Therefore, therefore, what have they asked us to find out? They've asked us to find out the cost of 18 pence. So the conclusion also should be in the similar way. Therefore, cost of 18 pence is rupees 450. Understood? Any doubts in this problem? Okay, good. Okay. So moving on to the next problem. Now, in this problem, we will be learning the proportions. Okay. So let us see this. Five carpenters can earn rupees 3,600 in 6 days, working at 9 hours a day. Okay. So five carpenters are gonna earn, one second. Yeah. Five carpenters are gonna earn 3,600 rupees. And how many days are they working? They're working for 6 days, and every day they're working for 9 hours. Then they're asking us how much will eight carpenters earn in 12 days working for 6 hours a day. Now, again, if you see, five carpenters are earning 3,600 for 6 days at 9 hours. Now, eight carpenters, there are more number of carpenters, there are more number of days, and there is less number of hours. But what you have to check, what are the two major things that you have to compare here is the number of carpenters and within how many days, because hours is not the problem as of now, the number of days. Okay. Now, since the work and the earnings ratio that has been given, that has been important to us, so if the number of days increases, the earnings will also increase. So if they are getting on daily basis, if they are getting salary on daily basis, then with the number of days being increased, they will also be able to get more salary because they are paid on a daily basis. So this problem is also under direct proportion. Very good. This problem is also under direct proportion. So let us start. Solution. So given, what is given to us? Work and earnings relationship forms direct proportion. See, every problem we are defining which proportion it is in. So be careful, understand the problem and define the proportion. Okay. Then, so let the required earnings. Now, what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find how much will eight carpenters earn. So we are supposed to find the wages or the earnings. So let the required earnings be X. Okay. And what is given to us? Work ratio. Now, what do you mean by work ratio? We will define it. Okay. So work ratio is, now if you see the first sentence, five carpenters are working for 6 days for 9 hours. So five carpenters working for 6 days, multiply 6 days for 9 hours a day. This is one work ratio, one part of the element. Now form the ratio with the second sentence. In second sentence, there are eight carpenters who are working for 12 days for 6 hours. Now, if you see here, we are not considering the 3,600 rupees. That is earnings. That is the salary. But we are only comparing the carpenters who are working for how many days and how many hours. Okay. And we have the same data for the unknown value also. That is 8 carpenters, 12 days and 6 hours. Did you understand this? Any doubts until here? Everybody understood? or you want me to explain it again? Very good. Now, if you see here, 5 into, or let's do it in the next page only. So let's work out that ratio. 5 carpenters working for 6 days into 9 hours is to 8 carpenters working for 12 days into 6 hours. Now multiply this. 5 into 6 into 9, how much do you get? 270 is to 8 is to 12 is to 6, 576. So this is the work ratio. Now let us form the earnings ratio. Earnings ratio, first they were paying 3600 rupees. Now we have to form the ratio, correct? 3600 is to x. Now put them into direct proportion. Now in direct proportion, you will have 270 is to 576 is equal to 3600 is to x. So product of extremes is equal to product of means. So what do you have? 270 into x is equal to 3600 into 576. So 2073600. Is that the value for 3600 into 576, Spurti? Okay. So you will have 270x is equal to 2073600. So x is equal to 2073600 divided by 270. So therefore x is equal to 7680. So if 8 carpenters work for 12 days, and 6 hours every day, they will be getting 7680 rupees as the total wages. So write that in the conclusion. Now the conclusion is, therefore 8 carpenters working 6 hours a day for 12 days earns rupees 7680. Understood? Any doubt here? Okay. Now, these two are the practice problems. These are again in the direct proportion. Okay, try and solve this. I shall send you the answers later. Fine. Now, let us go to the next problem. Now, in next problem, we'll read the problem first. A man cycling at a speed of 16 kilometers per hour reaches a town in 24 hours. How much time does he take to cover the same distance if his speed increases to 20 kilometers per hour? So at 16 kilometers per hour speed, he will reach the town within, or he'll reach the town in 24 hours. Okay. Now the speed has increased from 16 to 20 kilometers. Now, when the speed has increased, do you think the number of hours will decrease or increase? What do you think will happen? To imagine you are only cycling. Okay, you're cycling at a speed of 16 kilometers per hour and you are able to reach the nearest town in within 1 day. Now, if you start cycling in more speed, will you be able to reach the town early or will you be able to reach the town late? Decrease early. Very good. So, which means that this is in which proportion? If one is increasing, the other is decreasing, it is in the indirect proportion or it is called as inverse proportion. Okay, if one increases and the other decreases, it is very well known as inverse proportion. Indirect is one name, but it is very well known as inverse proportion. Okay, now let us start the problem. Let us define or let us say that it is an inverse proportion problem and then we will solve it. So solution, here speed and time taken to reach a fixed destination or distance, that is a fixed distance, is related when speed increases, time taken will decrease. Therefore, they are in inverse proportion. Okay, so we have defined, we have explained saying that since the speed increases, time taken will decrease and vice versa. You can just write it as vice versa means other way around. So when speed decreases, time taken will increase. Okay, so that is vice versa. So that is why they are in inverse proportion. Now let us solve the problem. Now what is that we are supposed to find? We have to find how much time are we taking to cover if the speed increases. So let us define that unknown variable. Let the time taken be x. So therefore we have speed ratio. What is the speed ratio? First they were, you can just keep it as x. Okay, you're giving me the answer. No, it's not 16. Or you're talking about the speed ratio here. Okay. So speed first is 16 kilometers per hour and the other speed is 20 kilometers per hour. So 16 is to 20 is the speed ratio. Now we have one more information in the problem, that is time. So one would take 24 hours to reach the town, and if they are going at 20 kilometers per hour speed, then they will reach within x hours. So we will put this into the inverse relationship now. So here is the actual catch. Don't write it directly. Listen. To put it in inverse ratio, write 1 ratio in inverse form. Inverse form means ulta. Okay, so if you're taking 16 is to 20, the first ratio we will keep it as it is. The second time ratio, it will change the places. It will be inverse. That is x is to 24. Did you all understand? So that is why you have to define the type of proportion that we are using. Did you all understand this or not? The time, the distance ratio or the speed ratio is taken as it is, 16 is to 20. But if you see the time ratio, it is taken in an inverse form. So if you see from here till here, it is actually 24 is to x, but we have taken it in the inverse form. Everybody understood till here? Any doubts? X is equal to 19.2. Correct, Spurti. So be careful while you're solving inverse ratio problems. Now solve it as usual. Product of extremes is equal to product of means. Now in product of extremes, you have 16 into 24 is equal to 20 into x. So 16 into 24 is how much? 16 into 24 is? Who can say me the answer? Okay, 384. Thank you. Yeah. So 384 by 20 is equal to x. So therefore, x is equal to 19.2 hours. Let us not write any unit yet. It is just 19.2. Okay. Now give the conclusion. Therefore, he takes 19 hours, or you can just write it as 19.2 hours. 19.2 hours to reach town at 20 kilometers per hour speed. 20 kilometers per hour speed. Understood? Any doubts? Any doubts in this problem? Okay. So we shall stop here for today. I'll also send you this problem. Try and solve. Tomorrow I will solve it again in the class. Okay, it's a similar problem to that cycling. Again, it will be in the inverse proportion. Okay, try and solve it. If you're able to get the answer, well and good. If not, anyways, I will be solving it in the next class. Okay, yeah. Thank you, students.